Go here, testing.
Oh, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Go here, testing.
I'll get your.
Middle school. Virginia did. HOV lanes, pick the HOV lanes up and then get her back to school at like 10:30, 11 in the morning. What's she gonna miss? Come on, I can get that. Like, man. My wife's a math teacher, I'm a doctor of social. We can
Good evening. I'm going to call to the Potomac and Rappahannock Transportation Commission. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is 7:09. I'm going to introduce Kwame Kawufu. I'm your right field specialist for the monthly safety message.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for giving up the duty to serve the citizens of Vietnam. So as you know, November is it's getting cold. We need to stay safe and then make sure we follow the winter safety hazard. So I want to talk about some tips that we have to follow during this season. So you make sure you dress properly, put on warm and underclothes so that will make you stay warm. Keep warm and also wear proper shoes to avoid slip and falls. Second, I want to talk about is like watch for icy environment, your sidewalk, employees entrance, your house, everywhere. Make sure you put on proper shoes for that. And then vehicle maintenance too. You make sure you check your tires, your tire pressure. Make sure everything is it's a good condition before you step out. Also, make sure you get extra stuff in your car, first aid kit, blanket, water, in case there's emergency. We can have those. We prepare for those stuff. Okay, we can all do this together. Let's look out for each one another. Make sure if you see something, you say something, and then let's all work together and make this month safety. safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please rise if you're able for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rodrigo, will you please take roll?
Victor Angry, Andrea Bailey. Present. Kenny Bodie.
Here.
Margaret Franklin, Tom Gordy, DeShandra Jefferson, Karen Mills. Idris O'Connor, Kimberly Short, George Stewart, Yesley Vega, Tanisha Allen, Dr. Pamela Young, Meg Bumpke, Daryl English, Ralph Smith.
Here.
Sonia Vasquez Luna, Daryl Moore, Alana Mensing, Janet Holmes.
Here.
Will McIntosh, Deborah Frazier. Lori Hayes, Jacob Lane, Kevin Marshall, Tiffany Robinson, Sarah Hussein.
Here.
Delegate Delegate Roja Henson Jr.,
Here.
Delegate Thomas, and Senator McPike. Madam Chair, we do have a quorum.
Commissioner Margaret Franklin of Prince William County has asked to participate remotely in this
We got
meeting.
a cancellation, so sorry we didn't have.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, she initially planned to attend remotely,
No
but
worries.
was unable
We
to.
are moving right along. We are trying to keep this meeting moving so that Mr. Henson Jr. can leave.
Approval of
Thank
minutes,
you.
Madam Chair.
Okay, I need.
Second.
Okay, hold on. First, we need to approve the agenda, and what I'm asking for is that we are going to move the action items forward. So the items will be the same, the order might be a little different. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay, moved by Ms. Bailey, seconded by Mr. Bodie. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay.
Now we're jumping.
It's all you. Dr. Schneider, please explain item 5.
Yes, we are asking to purchase 6 mobile bus lifts. To be clear, these are not lift buses or lift to foot buses. These are the lifts that lift buses way into the air so that we can do maintenance on transmissions, et cetera. We need them for the Western facility. These are predominantly grant funded in this approach, and we are ready to proceed for procurement. We just need authorization from the commission to execute this in the amount of $337,807.
Move to approve. Oh. Second.
Moved by Ms. Frazier, seconded by Ms. Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next, we have item 6.1, approval of the PRTC meeting minutes.
Second.
I'm good.
Smith, seconded by Commissioner Bodie. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We have item 7.1. And this is Mr. Richards.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Page McClung, I will be bold, be brief, and be gone. So here we go. First of all, reporting on time performance, we had a very successful month. We are 88% on the system. We had 2 weeks in a row, 90% and 91% the last 2 weeks of the month, which was the first time in several years that actually occurred.
Well done.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Ridership, as you expect, we are down about 25% plus or minus due to the shutdown for the month of October. That is affecting obviously our ridership and fare revenue. Fourth item, Amtrak. I like to say you can't finish on time if you don't start on time. So for the first time since 2023, we will be awarding Amtrak their incentive for getting us out of Union Station on time. So we have 92% on-time departure rate out of Union Station, which is also very exciting and good news. Just this Monday, we reinstituted the Amtrak Step Up program. We did a soft launch on Sunday. The Step Up program is live. You can use the program for boarding any state-supported Amtrak trains on the system for a $4 upcharge if you have an Amtrak VRE multi-use pass, 10-day or monthly pass. So very exciting news on that. front. On 10/21, we celebrated with our partners from the city of Manassas Park and Manassas. Thank you, Mr. Smith. A lot of folks were there for our ribbon cutting. Very exciting day, completed that project successfully. And I'm also happy to report, tomorrow, we will complete our track maintenance construction seminary yard. We will run a test train on Saturday with an FRA visit on Monday and soon have that facility in service. That, Madam Chair, is on our report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from Mr. Richards? All right, then we're gonna move to item 7.2 to approve and authorize the acting Virginia Railway Express Chief Executive Officer to extend the lease agreement for the north parking lot at Virginia Railway Express's Broad Run Station.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Commissioner Bodie, seconded by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, and we have action item 7.3 to authorize a closed meeting of Potomac and Rappahannock Transportation Commission.
So authorized.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Will you please
to read
read?
Sorry. I'll read fast.
Go for it.
Whereas the PRTC desires to convene a closed meeting for discussions regarding prospective candidates for commission employment, and whereas pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1, such discussions may occur in closed meeting. Now therefore be it resolved that the Potomac Rappahannock Transportation Commission does hereby authorize discussion of the aforesaid matter in closed meeting.
So authorized.
No.
Oh.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Bodie, seconded by Commissioner Short, and then we need a roll call. Yes.
Andre Bailey.
Aye.
Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Karen Mills. Kimberly Short.
Yes.
Ralph Smith.
Yes.
Shannon Holmes.
Yeah.
Deborah Frazier.
Yes.
Sarah Hussein.
Yeah.
And Rosa Henson Jr.
Aye.
Madam Chair, that motion is approved.
Audience.
Hold on, session one and two.
Get you out of here. Thank you. You ready?
Okay, Madam Chairman, we need to have a motion to certify that the commission only talked about those matters for which you want me to close. the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Bodie, seconded by Commissioner Bailey. And we need a roll call vote, please.
Andre Bailey.
Aye.
Kenny Bodie.
Aye.
Karen Mills. Kimberly Short.
Yes.
Ralph Smith.
Yes.
Shannon Holmes.
Yes.
Deborah Frazier.
Yes.
Dara Hussein.
Yes.
And Rose Hanson Junior.
Yes.
Madam Chair, that motion is approved.
Okay, and then we're gonna skip really quickly over 7.5 and come back and go to the consent, number 9. We're gonna skip 8, we'll come right back to 7.5 and 8, and we're gonna do the consent agenda. Yes, so I just need a motion to
Second.
Raise your motion. Raise your motion, Bailey second on item number 9, consent agenda.
Any discussion? No discussion. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Carries. Okay, now we're gonna go back to 7.5, the VRE information items.
Yes, we will lose a quorum, but we don't have any other action items. It's just public comment time. Thank you, Delegate Henson.
Thank you. Hope you feel better.
Feel better.
I don't, he just doesn't feel well.
I just want everything else is informational, conversational.
Okay, so we do need the, so who's presenting on the VRE information items? We have agenda minutes, resolution.
I don't think they have any.
There's no formal presentation, they're just information items for you to review.
Okay, then please review them, review those. Yes, great.
Yeah.
And do you have any public comments?
Madam Chair, no comments were submitted.
Is there anybody here who would like to public comment? Okay. Then we will move on to the executive director's time.
And thank you very much. Okay. First order of business, where were you on October 10th, 1995? It was a Tuesday. That helps.
And work.
It worked.
I had a baby,
You don't want me to answer that question.
not that baby.
How was it gonna-
Training.
Yeah, the young baby. Well, Ms. Kim Tittner, who was celebrating 30 years. Walked into PRTC. And I thought it was this building, because I thought this building opened in 95. I was corrected. It was 1997. I forgot it. And we celebrated her 30 years today as a staff. And she was a fantastic history lesson. Now, here's some really cool statistics. In her 30 years, she has answered approximately 250,000 phone calls.
Wow.
6,500 emails. And these aren't emails of approved. Yes, no, these are lost article items, how to get your family member who flew in from Dulles and is gonna ride Metro or is gonna do this and then that's what she does. Kim has been with us for 30 years. She has seen some amazing changes. We talked about technology. She has trained over 23 employees. And has had a massive impact on our customer service, the quality of what she does. Number one question she gets is, where's my bus? Right, where's the bus and how do I get there? So Kim, if you'll please join us up front. You want to hold the flowers or your?
you do.
There's your flowers. I will hold you. Absolutely. Let me step this way. For you, Council.
Come over in this direction. Yeah.
Yeah, you get to be in the middle.
There. Nice.
Very nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good morning, hey, number one, Kim, you have the floor. Is there anything you would like to say?
No, but I just want to thank everybody for this. I mean, I'm just shocked, but it's been a wonderful 30 years.
You're not done yet, are you?
I don't know about that.
Oh. Heard us. Heads up.
I'm working on it, I'll work on it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
Now,
Thank you.
one last item of business. You and I please sit down.
Happy to.
Would the members of the 30-year club please rise for a round of applause?
Please rise.
60 years of expertise and
Thank you
commitment to
so
this
much.
organization. Very few people do anything for 30 years, much less at the same place. Thank you.
That's dead.
Thank you.
God bless you. All right, leading off with the big news in terms of the other big news, 30 years is huge. We have our preliminary October 2025 ridership for our express bus ridership was down 26% compared to September. What that means is the shutdown is a 26% drop. However, the ridership was 1% higher than last October. That means that we can pretty much calculate that the return to work order gave us a ridership increase of about 26%. Our local ridership stayed strong. We had a little bit of a dip, 4%, but we had the federal holidays. We do have an impact on our local services because there are support entities that ride some of our local routes, et cetera, to get to our commuter routes. So we've seen a little bit of a drop off, but we're talking 4 points, which is a federal holiday equivalency in that. So local ridership remains strong. Even with the shutdown, our 3 I-66 routes still carried about 27,000 passengers. The 5 southern commuter routes carried 23,000 passengers. Horner Road, just under 20,000. The 234 commuter lot, 13,000. And our route serving the Stonebridge Garage still carried over 3,000 passengers. So we're talking private sector, we're talking non-government workers. We have a large number of construction workers, service economy workers that ride into Tyson's, et cetera. So ridership remains strong. But we are about to hit that time of the year as we start to slide into holiday season. And so we'll start to see the ridership decline. One thing that high five to our planning department who worked so hard to get our mobile ticketing app up, and our finance department and our marketing team who has driven so many of our passengers from the single tap to the monthly pass. And why this matters is, despite the shutdown, we've brought in just under $1 million in pass fare for the month of October, and we just got our allotment for November combined around 900,000. So what this means is we are in a much better financial position than the last time we had a shutdown. When the shutdown hit, there was no money in those accounts. What we couldn't figure out, and we're still not sure is the case, is how is the money getting into the smart benefits account if the government's closed? What we have a sense of, and this is anecdotal, but what's happening is the individual federal agencies are moving money around in their existing allocated budgets. We have learned that EPA can act differently from GAO, which can act differently from DIA. So because they have that independent autonomy, they are able to choose where to take their money. So if they're not traveling, they can pull $500,000 of routine travel and maybe move that to smart benefits so that it keeps those essential workers riding in on Metro with us, VRE, et cetera. We don't know how long this will last. We don't know if we're going to get the same impact come December. Maybe the government will reopen, but we don't know those things. But in terms of, we're still down in terms of our overall revenue, but we're not taking some brutal hit to the bottom line of our budget. And really have to credit our finance team. That's something that I've championed since the last shutdown. And we were fingers crossed that it would pay the dividends we hoped, and it did. So I'm very, very proud of the team for the work they've done. As mentioned, our local ridership has been overall stable. The top 3 local routes carried almost 40,000 passengers. That's Dale City, Dumfries, and Route 1 local routes. Fantastic ridership. And the 2 local routes in Manassas carried over 8,000 riders. You go back Pre-pandemic, those might crack 3,500. So we're really seeing great numbers in our ridership there. Moving into our 2026 legislative agenda, our committee had met back in October. Working through that process, we wanted to wait until we have the post-election updates and impacts. Without getting into the Republican, Democrat, or the partisan element, there are some really positive things from the standpoint of, transit-focused administration. Not to say that the last one wasn't, but this just gives us a little bit more direction because there won't be potentially as much battling over budget, which has had an impact for us in terms of what does and doesn't get included in funding programs. It also gives us the opportunity. There's two things that have occurred very recently. One of which is the DMV moves approval of Metro funding and needs. That's the joint group between Metro and NWCOG that included representatives from Virginia, DC, the business community, and Maryland. Lots of discussions about what Metro's needs are. They've identified about $150 million in funding needs per year, plus additional funds to meet their capital needs. However, they can't have anything legal. They're not taking something to the General Assembly. Instead, there's been a parallel meeting called SJ28. Right? Talked about that a lot. They met yesterday and passed a 6-page resolution. And we're going to spare you the details other than that 6-page resolution will be converted into very likely a funding package that will then be taken hopefully through the two core members of that group that have really led the charge, Senator Evan and Delegate Sickles. I am just using my crystal ball to observe process to say it is very likely we as a staff are working with the NBT staff to put together some draft language for funding that will identify a lot of different kinds of funding mechanisms to provide the revenues to fill, for example, our $22 million budget vault that we have in outlying years. This will then be taken hopefully to the General Assembly and introduced in the House and introduced in the Senate. And therefore that legislative agenda takes on getting some funding passed. And that becomes really our core focus for the 2026 legislative cycle. Fingers crossed, but also a lot of hard work that goes into it. It is not anticipated that the first revenues would be seen until July 1, 2028. So this isn't this will take care of us in summer of 2026 or 27, because they have to go through any discussion of it and then start doing the collections to then have those funds available. Ironically, those posters stayed up the entire time until Kim Bittner, or about Kim Bittner, she leaves and the signs start falling. So take it for what it is. But SJ28 will be the focus. We will send you an attachment of the PDF of the document that SJ28 passed. It has flexibility in the funding package, and I'll give you a really good example of this is Arlington and Alexandria has paid parking. I can only think of one place in Prince William County where I have to pay to park, and that's at GMU. So having a tax on parking transactions won't make a whole lot of sense for us, but it makes great sense maybe in Arlington, Alexandria. Meanwhile, having an Amazon delivery fee, as an example, or a product delivery fee in high residential areas with lots and lots of rooftops, as opposed to a singular building delivery, would be radically different. So that might not raise as much money it'll raise more money possibly in the suburban areas. Same thing with potential more money in motor fuels tax. Outlying areas with more driving will generate additional motor fuels or a state highway use fee. So it's a variety, and it's not prescriptive as to what will happen. That's still being figured out through the SJ28 process. However, it'll end up going into the state, and then the state will be figuring out how to mandate and deliver the potential for revenues. For the PRTC jurisdictions, it's about $100 million a year, $100 million a year in new revenues. And that includes VRE, that includes the OmniRide services, but it also includes the opportunity to collect those resources in Spotsylvania, Stafford, Fredericksburg. They could augment their local services as well as use those for VRE. So it's a big deal. Yeah. And where it lands is just a lot of work that will happen between now and March, April. But we have, confidence that the hard work, SJ28 is not fly by night. It's been active for 18 months. parallel to DMV moves. Tremendous opportunity, tremendous information, and should for some reason not be successful, all the lessons learned in this session will be back in 2020. So that's the real focus. So again, our legislative agenda, which now that we have this information passed last night, and post-election, I'll be working on a draft of the legislative agenda that will be circulated amongst the committee, then will come to us in December for our full meeting. And then the rest of our legislative agenda is mainly playing defense on unintended consequences. Bills that get put in for tort reform that suddenly we have to defend and say, hey, we don't want to be part of that. We want to keep our protections or things like that. So that is the exciting and challenging news on SJ 28 and 5. Couple of any questions on that I can answer?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, Bob. Being on the legislative committee, we've talked, I know we've had very robust conversations around this, but I like for where you ended, which is we talked about the full menu of options depending on the jurisdictions. Is not seeing the resolution yet and not knowing some of the more intimate parts of those conversations. Has there already been discussion about some of the package of legislation granting the localities more authority under the Dillon rule to look at these wide menu of things, not only for in the confines of SJ 28 and raising money for DMV moves, but also just in general on how we can fund transit locally?
With this package, no. Part of the things that I was paying attention to as a proud resident of Prince William County, are data centers included? No, and the reason why is data centers are a locally defined issue. And this would end up being state legislation. And whether or not you want the state involved in your data center questions is not for us in the transit world to decide. Secondarily, as we've discussed, taking the blunt instrument of things like a CNI tax where it applies to everyone. So we've talked about the importance of giving a little more autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
That is where your legislative agenda can achieve that, but we will be lockstep. Devin Cabot, I believe, is your core lobbyist. Our lobbyist, Lauren Gilbert, they're very well connected, and we'll be in position to support that because it's not just what those revenues provide, but also giving you the flexibility and the freedom at the local level to do more if you wish. And if you don't have that freedom, then you have handcuffs.
Right.
What we understand the charge to be is, and I hope I'm not mischaracterizing it, but it's this much money and you have to raise it through these resources. So it becomes a mandate. It's not an unfunded mandate. It's a funded mandate, and they give you all the mechanisms to go down and choose what do you want. And I think it's a really reasonable trade-off because the state is forcing the issue, but it's empowering you as elected officials to choose which mechanisms make sense.
Makes sense.
So it gives you both a little bit of skin in the game, but you also get to kind of learn each other and say it's their fault.
Thank you.
Sure, Bailey.
So real quick, Devin, Cabot, Gwen Loop,
Little loop, okay.
in terms of legislative aid,
Mhm.
make sure the communication is good.
Will do. Yes, ma'am. All right, a couple other quick items. Last month, a reminder that we withdrew the Manassas Line Trail Phase 1 letter of support from our agenda because it needed to be done at NVTC and they weren't meeting. We have definitely sent that letter of support to NVTA. It was well taken care of with VRE. That loop has been closed. And then a reminder for your calendars. You'll be getting this in email tomorrow as well. You probably just had 10 reminders already. But December 15th is our always great legislative agenda. It's the joint packet between NVTC and PRTC. We come together up at George Mason Shar School in downtown Arlington. It's always a great event, always great speakers. It's a great place to nerd out on transit policy and especially what's going on as we see what occurs between now and the end of the month. Is there an impact on the shutdown? There's constant changes with FTA and some of their requirements, procedures, so we'll see where that goes. We have a bus that leaves the Dale City commuter lot at 6:35 in the morning. It leaves at 6:43, arriving at GMU around 7:45. There are coffee and bagels and all those great things in the lobby. Parent will actually be at that commuter lot looking for your smiling face, and then based upon the number of people that ride up, he arranges either a bus to come back and take you back to the lot, or we use a staff car or something like that. But if you go up, you absolutely get back. And then last item that I'll mention is we are hosting another demo bus on November 18th. This was by, if you remember, last month we had a demo bus from our Gillick, who does our local buses. This is a competitor to them, New Flyer, who makes our MCI express buses, but they're also bringing us a diesel electric. But the hybrid system is made by BAE, which you may over in Manassas recognize. They're a huge defense contractor. They've got a super secret plant over there, but they are part of the hybrid drive system because that's that type of technology that gets deployed, heavy military contracting. But that technology then finds its way into engines for all sorts of different technology. So we'll be experiencing that. And with that, Madam Chair, if there are no questions, I can conclude my report or answer anything else.
I just said real quick, this just came from line. You want to do that? And I can.
Okay.
So, are you gonna have, or are you planning to have, considering the conditions that we're working in now, a fun day on the bus day for the community?
Every day is a fun day on the bus.
Yeah, it is, very much.
Especially with the complaint we got today. No, I'm kidding. One of the things that we're really interested in doing is doing something for the federal workers.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Showing up, we're showing up at Park and Ride lot, especially to be a little bit closer to Thanksgiving. Fruit parfaits, donuts, coffee, hot chocolate, the things just to say, we love you, we care about you, you're our passengers, we value and appreciate you. Especially if there's a back to work. So it's not just those who are working now, but let's do more for when everyone.
Involve us in that, please.
Absolutely, we will definitely do that.
Yeah.
But you know, it's always a fun day on the bus.
See, maybe.
Someday the fun isn't that much fun, but it's always a.
It's fun, it's always fun. No, just as an encouragement.
Of course. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for running this. Yes. Mr. Wingfield.
Evening, Madam Chair, Board of Commissioners. So October was a solid month of performance. Through the federal shutdown, we did see some impact on service. Haven't had the same demand on our vehicles, so we've repurposed some of that time to winter prep campaigns in preparation for the colder months. We did have a miss on vehicle availability. We understand what the issue is, so you'll see that on the third slide, I believe it is. We're aware what the issue is in-house, but I'll say that it hasn't had an impact on service. So we were able to still meet service despite the fact. So jump into it. What happened on
Technical difficulty.
Control on delete?
Doesn't work for me.
I don't know.
The remote control can smell fear.
Go without a slide.
Yeah.
There we go, Carl. Just stay there, Carl. It's getting warm. So to orient yourself to the slide on the far right is our October 25 numbers. This is our ridership for microtransit. Microtransit operates in the local areas, both in Manassas and Woodbridge. Ridership is up compared to this time last year in October, and last time this year in October, that was a record ridership number for microtransit. Go ahead, Carl. These are our missed trips. The green is our 2025 year. So we were able to tie last October with one missed trip. So really happy about that. And for the guys that are listening in via phone calls, my staff, I just want to give a shout out to them because they're behind this effort. So thank you all who is up listening to this.
One restricted.
Is that?
Probably your clicker.
There we go. So here's the list that I talked about. We were at 72%, the goal is at 80. As I indicated earlier, I am aware of where the challenges are at. It happens to be at our Manassas facility on the second shift, personnel issue. We're just gonna have to work through that. I think the positive thing again is it didn't have an impact on service. And then miles between service interruptions, you're looking at the, what's that, turquoise, blue? Got a lot of colors up there. As the requests continue to come in, as I do these reports, we add new information. And so we are above target. That's it, that concludes my report.
I'd like to clarify one thing, Madam Chair.
Sure.
Can you go back one slide, please? So in reference to that number of 72%, what we have is we have our daily allotment of vehicles we're trying to push out on the street every day. So we have what's our budgeted, published schedule for trips. But behind that, we have buses that we flex out to deal with overcrowding. With the government shutdown, we're not flexing those buses out. So now, technically, Billy's got them in the shop. He's working on them, trying to resolve issues. They have the maintenance concern that you can see where we've gone from 80 to 75. He knows what the issue is. The difference is he's able to be more aggressive with keeping fleet in, doing the maintenance work without it affecting service. So things where we might send that bus out with a non-functional destination sign, cross fingers and just count on the operator to communicate. Instead, he's able to keep that vehicle in. It doesn't hit the number of getting it closer to 80, but now what he's doing is he's getting the head sign repaired. So it doesn't affect the services because we're taking advantage during the shutdown window. So this is a case where good management looks bad in the reporting, but in an outcome-driven environment, it's how many missed trips do you?
Right.
And so more buses in the shop are being worked on, which means they're not on the ready line, but we report the number no matter what. Hope that gives that, because when I saw the numbers, I was like, how are we? And then we put it all together.
But thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we have Brella, Chief Financial Officer for a budget presentation.
It's only take a couple hours. We're just gonna hop right into it in the interest of keeping it less than a couple hours. So we are on our November discussion. A process that worked pretty well for us last year was to come October, November, December and bring the budget in pieces. A really key element to this has been being able to work with a budget committee, running these presentations through them, talking through some information, getting feedback, and then incorporating into this prior to the presentation. So this process has worked well. And so here we are in November doing the expense side of the discussion. And next month, we will bring a budget that will be, we will ask for approval for transmission to the jurisdictions. You're not approving the actual budget, you're approving us going to the jurisdictions with the budget to have the discussions about the subsidies in place. So that will be next month's part of the process. And then, as we did last year, the way we structure the discussion is we talk about the base budget, which is doing the same exact thing that we've done, that we're doing this year, as well as options if we need to choose to enhance services, and then options if we need to reduce services as well to balance the budget or for other reasons. So that's sort of the structure of all this. And the other piece to stress is that, we really want to present predictable information, and we want to confirm at this point that the things we told you last year when we were preparing the budget are consistent this year. So when we gave you a number last year that we thought we were going to ask the jurisdictions for, we want to show you at this point that we're going to be within those numbers, so that way you have security and sort of you have a steady number and a consistent number to bring back to the jurisdiction. So that's what we're trying to accomplish here. I'm going to jump right into it here. This is the operating expense summary. There's quite a bit that goes into this. I'll discuss them all in some groupings, but the one that's highlighted here is the bus service contract, which is the operations and maintenance through Keolis. And you see that is the lion's share of what it is we do. When you add some fuel in there, we'll talk about this a little bit more. It's a pretty significant portion of our budget is delivering services.
On the capital side of things, as you would expect for a bus company, bus purchases is a lot of what we're looking to do here. And 90% of the budget is going to be for vehicle purchase, but we also have some, hardware replacements and things, the information technology, as well as some work in facilities. One of the things I'm just sort of putting a flag in here as the third bullet point is that we're gonna start seeing at the end of our multi-year plan that we submit, we're gonna start seeing some more significant fleet replacements pop in there. There was a 37 vehicle order that took place not that long ago that's gonna start showing up in our plans. And so we have to just work on addressing that, but it is something because of the significance, because of the potential for a significant local match on those. We just want to make sure that we're mentioning that now, and we'll stay on top of that issue, but just putting a pin in it. And then also, this facility here, there's more and more things are happening, if you will. It's an aging facility, as we just discussed with Ms. Pittner. And so, it's something that we have to pay attention to, that there's going to be, maintenance issues here. So we should expect to start seeing more of those pop up in the plan. I know Doris is working on a facilities condition assessment, which is going to really set a roadmap for the next several years in terms of the work that needs to be done, to keep this facility running in a state of good repair. So moving right on, in the personnel expense side of things here, this is essentially our wages, as well as our healthcare, retirement, dental, workers' compensation. We have had flat FTEs. We've been pretty consistent with our staffing levels. We may look to add a position potentially in IT, but we are working through our information to see if there's a way to handle that differently. But that is just something to notify you of that we may look to do. But we'll have more on that next month, where we're seeing what else we can do about that. But again, consistent staffing levels in the organization for some time now. This group of categories here, this is really I call it support activities, but this is all the stuff that we maintain. This is the maintenance contracts for our enterprise systems, like our finance software, our planning software. This is our security services, legal services, insurance costs, marketing, audit, federal compliance, all those sorts of things. They're not really direct to the operation, but they're all things that we're required to do. And so they fall into these various categories. They're all at relatively consistent levels. Again, this is what we said last year these numbers would be, and they're coming in about that. We expect that to be the same when we move our final budget forward. Moving on, this is really can be categorized actually as energy use, for lack of another way, but this is our fuel and utilities. Utilities is the stuff you would expect in your building, your electric, your gas, those sorts of things. And then on the fuel side, this is a significant line item for us. What we do is we purchase futures contracts. A futures contract is 42,000 gallons of fuel. We buy 2 of those per month, and we do it for a whole year in advance. By doing that, we're able to monitor our pricing that the market has, and we lock in all that fuel for a 12-month period, so to give us a steady price, but also a good price. And we start our budget process somewhere between $3 and $3.25 based on how the market is. We monitor fuel 2-3 times a week to see what the prices are. And when we hit a good moment, we try to execute that and save some money in the budget. In the current fiscal year, we're operating at about $2.50 a gallon, which is a really good number. And we use an estimated total of about 1.35 million gallons. There is some fuel that we do not buy under this contractual arrangement, and we purchase that on what is called the spot market, which is basically just like going to the fuel pump, except they deliver it to us here and we pump it here. But that is purchased at the market price at the time. And the reason we do it that way is because we don't want to buy more fuel than we can take delivery of and use, because we would be forced to pay for it, and we create issues that you just don't want to have with your fuel provider not being able to use all the fuel you consume. So we try to secure as much in those long-term or those medium-range agreements as we can without going over, and then we buy the rest on the market. And so the big stuff here, really, delivering transportation service. That is what we're doing, what we do. We're projecting increase in bus service contracts as well as potential van pools. But between these, these 2 line items, the operations and maintenance alone is 60%. When you add the fuel, it ends up being 70% of what we do. And it's important to note that the van pool program does generate about $4 million in Section 5307 federal earnings. That's some jargon there, but it is federal earnings that brings in for us, and that does help support our operating and capital budget. So it's an important program that we support here. And this right here is when we get into the point of discussing. We've had these discussions in the past. where we may need to prioritize routes that might need to be reduced or cut or whatever the case may be to balance the budget. I just put this here so I can quickly remind how the commission has chose to prioritize those things in the past. So very, very quickly here. And we will have this information, prepared and given to jurisdictions as well as the commission here. But starting in this left box, all those are routes that are 100% funded by state grants. And so because of that being the case, we typically will not prioritize those for cost savings because they don't save the jurisdictions money in order to do that. The second grouping here is actually entirely paid for by the jurisdictions, but those are all local routes. And those routes are truly the lifeline routes of folks who need to get to dialysis, folks who need to get to their jobs, those sorts of things, potentially not having many other options to do so. So the commission has chosen not to prioritize those for reductions in the past, even though they could save some money, because they wanted to leave, everyone wanted to leave the lifeline services in for the country. Makes a lot of sense. So when we did have to reduce in the past, where we focused our attention was on these commuter services that were a combination of jurisdiction and grant funded. And so that was where we would focus our attention. And you can see the percentage in there that the jurisdiction pays for those commuter routes. Why we choose those, again, the middle grouping was lifeline services, but in these commuter services, there's other options for those folks, frankly, sometimes in a austerity type of situation. There is another park and ride lot they could drive to and get to their job that they need to. In the local service situation, that's oftentimes just not the case. So again, that was just sort of how the commission had chose to prioritize historically when looking at these services for potential reductions, should we need to balance the budget that way. So where are we now? As I said, these are the numbers that we presented last year when we were giving you a multi-year plan. These are the year 2 numbers for that. We believe, we will be within those numbers. So we're not going to ask the jurisdictions for anything more than we said we were going to ask for. And I think that's the important thing that we want to convey to all of you. What we told you last year we were going to ask for, that's what we're going to ask for. And that's that level of predictability that we're trying to do here. And so when we look at our budgets, that's really the critical thing, because that's frankly, an important part of what we're doing. So but what I do want to point out here is that, and these two things sort of work together, but we're starting right now at about $11.7 million deficit. Last year was around 12, the year before was about 12. Prince William County did come in and support the budget, as well as we were able to reduce some expenses. And in the past 2 years, they used the grantor's tax and the transient occupancy tax, which is essentially a mortgage recording tax, and then the hotel tax. They use that to balance the budget. Right now, I'm showing the deficit because that is a year-by-year approval. We're not, until the budget is approved at Prince William County, and maybe there's other fund sources, maybe we're reducing, we're not quite sure of that. That's what happens from December on. But we're showing here on the top right, this is sort of where the Prince William County fund sources were in the current budget cycle and what we have as of today. What I can share quickly is that we will have a fuel balance in the motor fuels tax that we're working on that will help support that. But we're still likely looking at something in that $10 million range, as we have in the past 2 fiscal years, to come into Prince William County with again for. So, very consistent as it's been in the past, but, just want to share that. And again, the purpose of this is to get out as early as we can in our process. We've got between sort of now and June to work through all this stuff. So we're trying to get out here quickly and do all of that. So I'll just wrap it up where I started up. We are in the November process discussing expenses. Next month, we will be bringing something that will require action in order to allow us to bring the jurisdictions the full budget. We'll have some options presented for how we, things that we can look to do in terms of, the base budget or potential enhancements and potential the reductions as we talked about if necessary. And so that's really, where we are in this process. I do want to just again thank everybody on the budget committee. It's a really valuable process. It's very important to me to have sort of that sounding board in advance, tighten this up, and to hear what people are saying. And I know many of you are on that, so I just again want to extend my gratitude for being part of that process. It really helps out, and it's been a big improvement the past couple of years. So with that, I tried to keep it under a couple hours, but with that, I'll just take any questions. And the other thing I want to mention too, I know budgets, there's lots of details and information, so I always just want to encourage folks, please feel free to reach out if there's, off to the side if you need to, or email me or call, or whatever the case may be. Always happy to have a phone call, stop in and have a discussion, whatever we need to do to, to get the information conveyed that we're looking to. So, well, any questions?
Thank you very much, Chair. You kept throwing Prince William County, name around. Thanks, but no, what I really wanted to say is that, the presentation, this is the second time we've gotten it. Maybe the third, I'm not sure. But I really appreciate the details that you give to us. I'm not officially on the budget committee. I think Christina just kind of threw me on. It's okay, Christina, I'm good. But my question is, can we, before there's time for us to take action, will there be a little reminder about?
So what we actually, Christine and I are discussing it now. The next step is actually scheduling another budget committee meeting in
Good.
November. So this is the
I'll stay in
process.
the budget.
Yeah, the process is always, I really want that as well too.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we're working on dates. Actually, I'm sure we're gonna get an email out shortly, with some potential dates for everybody. But yes, the intention is to have that budget committee and then come again in December, just like we've done, in November, October.
And that would be helpful, just from the standpoint of where we are, not just jurisdictionally, but regionally. That would help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have two brief comments. One is when we come to you next month, we will have, Phil alluded to it, an enhancements package. Last year, we told you there would be one, and then we worked in spring to develop that list. Well, we already had that list. So we spent the last couple of weeks refining it, what's been prioritized up, what's been prioritized down based on ridership demand, et cetera. So we will bring that. It is not part of the budget ask. It is basically a option of, if you want to do more, here's the maps, here's in essence the schedule, the frequency, and the cost. So we bring that to you. And of course, next month, we're asking you to bless it to go to the jurisdictions. The official budget that we present is what you see in essence tonight. The option is for then the jurisdictions to go back and decide, do we want to enhance services in Dumfries? Do we want to grow micro transit in Dale City, start serving the Innovation District? That happens, and then what we do is we go to meet with the jurisdictional staff January, February, early March, so that they can inform county executives, county chairs, et cetera, about those options. So there's lots and lots of opportunity to make some decisions in there. So that's good.
If I could on that real quick, Bob, I also want to mention, there is, in particular, Prince William County staff does join us on budget committee. Mayor Landis is kind enough to join us on those. So she gets to hear all this stuff as we're going along as well too. And it's important to do that too.
And then one other brief comment.
Sure.
In this process, there's a lot of unknowns. We're putting this together in basically October, November. We have no idea what the price of fuel is. We have no idea what our health insurance renewals will be. So we are conservative in terms of revenues, but we're probably a little more aggressive. We try to project a little bit more in expenses. What we've learned in that process is by the time we end the year, they marry up, because if we get health increase cost, this past year we were able to handle that because we bought fuel on the futures market when the price was down. We saved several $100,000. We will be watching very closely through spring for our renewals. We pay a lot of attention, but we are not greedy to the point of, yes, throw extra $1 million in fuel and then count overage on your services. Quite the opposite. We know that there's basically a balance of a few percentage points in our budget, and we work really hard to stay within that. We don't bring in an excessive number, but we do have a lot of unknowns between now and when we renew a lot of our contracts. This includes our workforce, our operators. Keolis is moving into contract negotiations with the union workforce. So that, in a very austere time where we have an $11 million budget hole, is a very challenging opportunity before us. So it's a lot of things just to balance in this process.
Okay.
Real
quick. And I may have asked you this question, Mr. Perella, when we were talking. The paratransit that you had in the 3 boxes, the paratransit at the bottom, that's handled by jurisdiction, correct?
That's correct.
So do we see, and I'm asking you this because as we are in Prince William County, we're looking at building or creating a way for our seniors to get around. So how does that look? I mean, is that just scheduling or is that additional cost?
That is just our current cost. We are a flat level of service right now.
Okay.
Anything that we add is going to either be grant funded, like more commuter services, or if we see orders of magnitude. We had the 26%, for example, in ridership increases. Now that's dipped off, but if that continues, we take those dollars and reinvest that back in that frequency on those commuter services. Because the ridership volumes are high enough that we have to reinvest to keep the customer riding and continuing to spend. But in terms of services for those seniors, we are really just flat until we maybe see the budget enhancements. So if there is that interest in doing it, that'll be part of the enhancements package that we bring to you.
Yeah, that is one of the directives that was given, prepare transit for our seniors. Because we're beginning a program called Seniors Beyond the Walls. Meaning we don't have one building for them to gather at. It's gonna travel around the county. And so I'll be coming to you just to ask, what does that look like? Is there an additional cost or is that just?
There will be an additional cost because our paratransit services is tied to where the fixed routes go. So if
Okay,
they're moving to places we're not serving, we don't have any service and we don't have the revenue to stand something up in that way. So I work with, I assume Sarah Henry or others, we can work with great relationship with Sarah. We can identify the places where those can be so that they can ride
yeah,
our services.
it's Josh now,
Josh, okay, right. We'll-
So yeah, we'll work with it. I just wanted to know in terms of the presentation, as we're going into budget season, does that look like additional costs? And I was,
Yes.
okay.
And we can work very closely with staff to articulate what those costs would be and get that as part of the enhancements. And we're not limited to the enhancements of just what we put together in December. If something emerges in the budget process come March
Yes,
and there's an opportunity, we still have all of March, April, May, and your vote doesn't happen till June. So we have lots of room to do some really cool things if the interest is there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Farrell. All right, now we're up to Vice Chairwoman's time. So, the nominating committee will be elected in December. We need one representative from each jurisdiction to provide information about PRTC and VRE appointments for 2026 and to consider who will serve as PRTC officers next year. So, do we have any volunteers? So we'll need someone from Prince William. You want to do it?
No.
You know why?
Yes.
All right, so we have Commissioner Bailey from Prince William. We need. You.
So I believe
Nominate.
by default,
I
it's
didn't
the
check
roll
permission.
call.
All in total.
And I did ask Commissioner Frazier before she left, and she said she would,
Awesome.
especially if we could do it like, these will be mostly virtual meetings, yes?
Yeah, it will be one. Well, typically how it works is whoever is the chair contacts each of the other members of the committee and just says, who is your jurisdiction planning to appoint to VRE next year? Are you gonna have any changes to your PRTC appointments? And who from your jurisdiction should serve on the executive committee? So we have a chair of the executive committee, a vice chair, secretary, treasurer, and our immediate past chair, and then 2 at-large members are typically the executive committee.
I'll volunteer to chair the committee if.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Such a
Nice to share.
Say what?
wonderful council.
So I think the only jurisdiction that, since we have
Stafford.
voluntold, Manassas Park, it would be Stafford and, so currently Tanisha Allen serves on the executive committee. I don't know if she would be interested in continuing, but that's a conversation that can happen between you and her.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that's all we need for right now.
For now, and then we will formally elect the committee at the December meeting.
Oh, okay. So, yes.
It's in Manassas City is. Yes,
All right,
Christine and Sharon will take great care of it.
I trust you both. implicitly. All right, any other business? Commissioners' time, anyone have anything?
No.
I would like to just say thank you to everybody who's here. It was a really dicey night as far as quorum goes, so everybody who showed up, thank you. Take an extra, little thing of dessert or a piece of cake or something, but thank you all for being, because it's important that we have these meetings and we able to take some action, so that's really important. Yes.
Thank you. I wanted to apologize for being late because I was getting here. Karen said, where are you? So I apologize for being a tad bit late. And I want to apologize to my dear colleague across the way. I called you Sarah.
You're fine. It
No,
happens all
it's
the
not.
time.
Your name is Sarah.
Sarah.
Sarah?
Sarah.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay, I want to get it right, so thank you.
All good, thank you.
And I think that's all I got. I think that's all I had to say.
All right, in that case, we're adjourned. Bye.
And
You can't ask for a quorum, so.
Let's just do it. Yeah.
You don't have-
Gavel, Madam Vice.
You don't have to do it.
Gavel.
That's right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yes.
Great.
Great meeting, man, Vice Chair.
Yes.
It's all about. All right.
Fast.